Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market. And this time we're uncovering the hidden potential of the 1981 Lincoln penny, a coin that at first glance looks ordinary, but in reality could change everything if you happen to find the right one. The year 1981 was a turning point in American coinage. This was the last full year the Lincoln penny was made from nearly pure copper. By 1982, the mint switched to zinc, leaving behind more than a century of tradition. That makes the 1981 penny a historic piece, the farewell to an era of heavy copper coins. And when you combine that history with rare errors, high grades, and scarce varieties, you get a coin that is now exploding in collector demand. Need this moment, this coin, the 1981 Lincoln cent, because its value today could surprise you. At first, most people think it's just a penny. Billions were struck. Over 12 billion, in fact, across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity doesn't just mean low mintage. Rarity means perfection. Rarity means mistakes. Rarity means those 1 in a million survivors that were struck just right and preserved untouched for over 40 years. Those are the coins that are breaking records today. Take, for example, the brilliant red gem 1981 penny. In high mint state grades, collectors will pay hundreds, even thousands of dollars. An MS-67 red example has commanded over $2,000 at auction. Think about that, $2,000 for a single cent, and then come the errors. Double dies, where the lettering or date appears doubled, can be worth hundreds. Off-center strikes, cap dies, or coins missing parts of their design. These are mistakes the mint never intended, and collectors pay huge premiums for them. Some error 1981 pennies have sold for $500, $800, even $1,200, all depending on the severity and condition. But the story doesn't end there. The varieties matter too. In 1981, there were both small date and large date versions. At first, it looks like a tiny difference. But collectors hunt the scarcer ones relentlessly, and when found in pristine condition, they carry strong premiums. So what's the timeline of value for this coin? A worn 1981 penny from circulation. Still just 1 cent, a nice uncirculated example. Maybe $5 to $20. A blazing red gem, certified at the highest grades, $500 to $2,000. And an error coin with major doubling or off-center strike. That's where we see the 4-figure results. Coins crossing the $1,500 mark and beyond. The truth is, most people spend these pennies every single day, never realizing what they might be holding. But for those who take the time to look closely, to check the dates, the varieties, the conditions, you could be holding a piece of history worth far, far more than 1 cent. The 1981 penny is more than pocket change. It's the last of the copper giants, the coin that closed out an era. And in the hands of a collector, it can be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars today. So before you spend that next penny, look again, because you might just be holding a fortune. Welcome back to my channel. They say old is gold, but sometimes even the smallest, most ordinary-looking coins can be worth far more than gold. Today, we're uncovering the story of the 1982 Lincoln penny, a coin so unique, so rare, that one discovery could change your entire financial future. Don't spend these pennies. If you're lucky enough to have one, you could be holding a life-changing treasure. So please, watch this video until the very end, because the 1982 penny is not just history. It's opportunity. It's possibility. It's the key that could unlock a future you never thought possible. Now, imagine this. You reach into an old coffee can of coins tucked away in your garage. First, it seems like nothing special. Just pennies. Just copper-colored change that most people would never think twice about. But hidden among them could be one coin that transforms your entire life. Yes, I'm talking about the 1982 small date Lincoln penny, struck in copper. A coin so rare, so mysterious, that only a handful are known to exist. And when one shows up at auction, collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums. How astronomical? Try $18,000 for a single penny. That's right, $18,000 for 1 cent, and experts believe values could rise even higher as more collectors race to secure one before they vanish forever into private collections. But let's pause here for a moment. How many times have you ignored that dusty jar of coins in your attic? How many times have you dismissed the idea that a penny could be worth anything more than a penny? It's easy to laugh, isn't it? A penny worth a fortune? Come on. But humor aside, the reality is undeniable. Hidden treasures like this exist, and every year ordinary people discover them. Some list them for sale, some cash out for life-changing money, and others, those who never checked, are left with nothing but regret. The 1982 D-penny is more than just metal. It's a snapshot of history. You see, 1982 was a turning point. For over 100 years, pennies were made of solid copper. But rising costs forced the U.S. Mint to switch to cheaper zinc with only a thin copper coating. That year, both types were struck, copper and zinc. Small date and large date. But in Denver, an anomaly slipped through, the 1982 D small date copper penny. By all logic, it shouldn't exist. And yet, a few did. That's why collectors go crazy for it. Scarcity plus demand equals skyrocketing value. And the fewer that exist, the higher those numbers will climb. Now picture this. Somewhere in America right now, someone is finding one of these pennies. They'll weigh it. They'll see the small date design. They'll realize they're holding a treasure worth thousands. And in that moment, their financial story changes forever. The burning question is, will that someone be you? Because here's the truth. These coins are disappearing fast. Every day, as estates are settled, as collections are sold, as coins get locked away in private vaults, opportunities like this vanish from public reach. Once they're gone, they're gone. Now let's make this real for a moment. Imagine paying off your car loan with a penny. Imagine covering a semester of college tuition with a penny. Imagine explaining to your neighbor, "I just sold a penny for $18,000. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? But it happens. Collectors across the country aren't just buying coins. They're competing. They're investing. They're building legacies. And the 1982 D small date copper penny isn't just a collectible. It's a symbol of overlooked opportunities that can become monumental rewards. And you don't have to be an expert to get started. You don't need years of numismatic study. All you need is curiosity, awareness, and the willingness to take a closer look at your change. Because wealth doesn't always come from grinding harder. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, in your desk drawer, your dresser, your family's old coin jars. So here's your call to action. Tonight, when you look at your pennies, check the dates. Weigh them if you can. Look for the 1982 D small date. Look for errors, double strikes, or unusual weight. Because if you hold one of these in your hand, you're not holding pocket change. You're holding a fortune. The window of opportunity is closing. Collectors are hunting. Demand is climbing. Prices are rising. The only question left is, will you discover it before it's too late? Because remember this. Sometimes the smallest coin carries the greatest value. And in the case of the 1982 D penny, that value could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Imagine this, you're going through a handful of old change, maybe from a jar that's been sitting in the corner of your room for decades. The coins clink against each other, dull and ordinary. But then, tucked among them, you find a 1982 penny. You hold it up, and at first glance, it looks like nothing more than a single cent. But what if I told you that this 1-cent coin could be worth thousands of dollars? More than a week's salary, more than some people earn in months, all hidden in a single penny. Welcome back. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in modern coin collecting, the 1982 Lincoln penny. First, it might look common, even boring. But here's the truth. This year changed everything for the penny, and because of that, collectors are still hunting these coins with obsession today. So what makes 1982 so special? This was the year the U.S. Mint made a huge change. For over a century, pennies were made mostly of copper. But in 1982, with rising metal costs, the mint switched to a new composition, zinc with a thin copper coating. That means some pennies minted in 1982 are 95% copper, while others are 97.5% zinc. Two completely different metals in the very same year. And that's just the beginning. The mint also produced both large date and small date varieties, in both copper and zinc. Add in the fact that the changeover wasn't perfectly smooth, and you have one of the most complicated and collectible years in Lincoln Cent history. Now, let's talk about value, because this is where it gets unbelievable. A regular worn 1982 penny might only be worth its face value. But the rare 1982 D small date copper penny? That's the coin every collector dreams about. Only a tiny handful have ever been discovered, and when one surfaces, it makes headlines. In fact, one of these pennies sold at auction for over $18,000. That's $18,000 for a coin you could easily overlook in your pocket. And it doesn't stop there. Even high-grade 1982 large date and small date varieties, especially those in brilliant uncirculated condition, can fetch hundreds of dollars. Collectors pay top dollar for MS-67 and higher grades, because finding flawless examples from this transition year is incredibly difficult. Think about it for a moment. This is a penny most people never look at twice. But in the right condition or with the right variety, it's worth more than some people's cars, more than a month's rent, and for a lucky few, life-changing amounts of money. Picture yourself at a flea market or sorting through an old coin jar. Everyone else passes by, tossing pennies aside like they're worthless. But you spot that subtle difference. A small date, a heavy copper planchet, a coin that doesn't weigh the same as the others. Suddenly, you're holding a treasure that could change your entire outlook on what spare change really means. The 1982 penny is a perfect reminder of why collectors love this hobby. It teaches us that history hides in the smallest details: date sizes, minting mistakes, and changes in metal. And it proves that even the most ordinary-looking coin in your hand could secretly be worth thousands. So the next time you see a 1982 Lincoln penny, don't just toss it back. Weigh it. Examine the date. Look closer, because that one coin could be worth far more than its tiny face value suggests. Maybe even more than your entire week's paycheck. And that's the magic of the 1982 penny. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market. And this time, it's all about the 1983 D Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary copper-colored coin. You might even pass it up as pocket change. But if you think the 1983 D penny is just another common cent, think again, because this little coin has stories of errors, rare strikes, and values so shocking that one coin alone could be worth more than your monthly salary, maybe even more than your yearly salary. So let's dive right in. The 1983 D Lincoln cent was struck in Denver during a very important transition period in U.S. coinage. Just a year earlier, in 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from the classic 95% copper composition to the new copper-plated zinc design. By 1983, the penny was officially zinc with only a thin copper coating. That means the 1983 D penny you see is lightweight, only 2.5 grams, and carries Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Over 6.4 billion of these coins were struck at the Denver Mint. With such a massive number, you might be asking, how could one be rare? How could one be worth thousands? Well, that's the thrill of coin collecting. Out of billions, only a few come out with mistakes or unusual characteristics. And those are the coins collectors are hunting for right now. Here's where it gets exciting. There are two famous varieties for the 1983 pennies, and if you have a Denver Mint one with either, you could be looking at serious money. The first is the legendary 1983 double die reverse penny. On these coins, the letters 1 cent, United States of America, and E pluribus unum show strong doubling. On a regular coin, those words are sharp and crisp, but on a double die variety, they look like they have shadows or double outlines. Collectors go crazy for this error, and they're willing to pay huge premiums for strong examples. Now imagine this: you're sorting through your change, you flip over a 1983 D penny, and under the right light you spot that doubling on the reverse. What might have been a single cent suddenly transforms into a fortune. Mint state examples of the double die have sold for over $3,000. And the best part? These coins are still out there in circulation, hidden in jars, drawers, and old rolls of pennies waiting to be discovered. But that's not the only reason the 1983 D penny can change your life. Another major factor is condition. The truth is, finding a penny from the early zinc years in pristine shape is extremely tough. Zinc scents corrode, they spot, and they tarnish far more quickly than their older copper cousins. That means coins preserved in high mint state grades, like MS66, MS67 or higher, are incredibly rare, and collectors are battling each other in auctions to get the finest examples. Need this coin 1983 D Lincoln penny value info? Let me break it down for you. An average worn 1983 D penny is worth just 1 cent. In uncirculated condition, maybe a few dollars. But when you move into top-graded gems, the price skyrockets. For example, a 1983 D Lincoln cent graded MS68 red by PCGS sold at auction for an unbelievable $7,638. That's right, over $7,000 for a penny you could have easily overlooked. Think about that, one small coin struck in the billions but with the right grade, worth more than a brand new MacBook, more than a month's rent, and for many people more than an entire month's paycheck. And the story doesn't stop there. There are rumors in the numismatic community of rare transitional 1983 pennies, coins struck on leftover copper planchets from 1982. If a 1983 D penny were discovered struck on a copper blank instead of zinc, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime find. None have been confirmed yet for the Denver Mint, but experts believe it's possible. And if one ever shows up, the value could easily hit 5 figures or more. That's the magic of these coins. There's always a chance of uncovering something new. So next time you get a handful of change, don't dismiss that little 1983 D penny. Look closely. Check the reverse for doubling. Weigh it to see if it's copper. Examine the condition. Could it be a flawless red gem? Because what looks like just a cent might actually be a treasure hiding in plain sight. The 1983 D Lincoln penny proves once again why collectors say, never underestimate the power of a small coin. 1 cent could be your ticket to thousands of dollars, so keep hunting, keep searching, and remember, the next rare penny you find might just be worth more than your salary. Imagine this, you're digging through your change jar, looking for just a coin to grab a coffee, when suddenly your eyes land on a penny from 1983. You think it's nothing special. After all, it's just a copper-colored coin you've seen a million times before. But what if I told you that this little penny, this 1983 Lincoln cent, could actually be worth more than your monthly salary, or even more than some people make in a whole year? Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into the incredible story of the 1983 penny, a coin that hides one of the most shocking secrets in U.S. coin history. And if you're not checking your pennies carefully, you might already be missing out on a small fortune. Now here's the twist. 1983 was the very first full year after the U.S. Mint switched the composition of pennies from nearly pure copper to mostly zinc with just a thin copper coating. Because of this big change, 1983 became a year of transition, and transition years almost always create mistakes, varieties, and hidden treasures. And this year did not disappoint. One of the most legendary discoveries is the 1983 copper penny error. By mistake, a small number of 1983 pennies were struck on the older copper planchets left over from 1982. Instead of weighing 2.5 grams like a zinc penny, these rare survivors weigh about 3.1 grams. And here's the jaw-dropping part. A regular-looking 1983 copper penny, something you could easily mistake as ordinary, has sold for $15,000 to $23,000 at auction. Imagine turning 1 cent into tens of thousands of dollars. But that's not the only treasure hiding in 1983. Collectors have discovered the 1983 double die reverse penny, where the word 1 cent and e pluribus unum on the back appear doubled, bold, and striking. These errors are dramatic and highly sought after. One in high-grade condition has crossed the auction block for over $7,000. Think about it. A single coin from your pocket change, the kind you might throw into a jar without a second thought, could be hiding the kind of money that could pay off bills, cover rent for months, or even fund your dream vacation. That's the power of knowing what to look for. And here's the real kicker, most of these coins are still out there. The 1983 double die reverse and copper transitional errors are not locked away in museums. They're in circulation, in collections, and possibly sitting in boxes and jars in basements and attics right now. Which means if you start checking your pennies today, You could be the next person to uncover one of these legendary finds, so the next time you pick up a penny and see 1983 stamped on it, don't dismiss it. Weigh it. Look closely at the details, because that tiny coin might just carry a secret that could change your life. The 1983 penny is a reminder of why collectors say, never underestimate the power of pocket change. One moment, it's just a cent. The next, it's a $20,000 treasure. Welcome back. Today, we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market, and this time the spotlight is on the 1984 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other coin in your pocket change, ordinary, small, and unassuming. But don't be fooled. Hidden within this year's mintage are rarities so shocking that their value could easily surpass an entire month's salary, or even an entire year's worth of earnings, depending on the coin's condition and the errors it carries. Now, let's set the stage. The 1984 penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, and it was part of the early copper-plated zinc era. By this point, the U.S. Mint had already transitioned from 95% copper pennies to the new copper-plated zinc composition that weighed just 2.5 grams. This change, which started in 1982, was due to the rising cost of copper. So the 1984 penny is technically a modern coin, yet it still holds secrets that could make you rich if you find the right one. One of the most famous and desirable varieties from this year is the 1984 double-die obverse penny. If you take a close look at Lincoln's ear on the obverse side, some coins reveal what looks like a second ear. Collectors often call it the extra ear penny. This doubling was caused during the die creation process, and it makes the coin instantly stand out. Even in circulated condition, this variety is worth far more than face value. In mint state grades, it has sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars. Imagine this: you're going through an old jar of pennies, the kind your parents or grandparents kept for years. You pull out what looks like a normal 1984 cent, but with a magnifying glass you notice something unusual: an extra ear on Lincoln. Suddenly, that penny is no longer worth a single cent. It's worth hundreds of dollars on the low end, and in pristine uncirculated condition, it can reach well over $1,000. Think about that. A penny in your hand that could pay your rent or buy you a brand new laptop. And the story doesn't stop there. Regular 1984 pennies in high grades also hold value. A coin graded MS-67 red by PCGS or NGC can command several $100s at auction. The record sale for a 1984 Lincoln cent with the extra ear variety reached over $3,000, a staggering price for a coin most people would overlook. Now let's put it into perspective. Every day, millions of pennies pass through people's hands. At stores, in change jars at the bank. Most people ignore them, dismissing them as worthless. But the truth is, a single 1984 penny could change everything. For coin collectors, finding this variety is like striking gold in the most unexpected place. And for someone new to the hobby, it can ignite a lifelong passion for numismatics. So the next time you come across a 1984 Lincoln penny, don't just toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Look closely at Lincoln's ear. If you see that doubling, you could be holding a treasure far more valuable than you ever imagined. Coins like this are a reminder that history, rarity, and fortune can be hiding in the smallest details. And remember this: some people throw away pennies, thinking they don't matter. But in reality, one small cent from 1984 could be worth thousands. And that's the beauty of coin collecting. So keep searching, because your next discovery might just be the coin that outshines your monthly paycheck, or even your yearly salary. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market, and the spotlight is on the 1988 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it's just another copper-plated zinc cent that millions of people used every day in the late 1980s. But don't be fooled. Hidden among these ordinary coins are rare and valuable varieties that can be worth far more than their face value. Some examples have sold for prices that could cover more than just your monthly bills. They could reach amounts well above your salary. The 1988 penny was struck at the Denver Mint, with production reaching over 5.25 billion coins. Because of such a high mintage, most people assume it's common and not worth more than a cent. But in coin collecting, rarity isn't just about how many were made. It's about the mistakes, the die varieties, and the small details that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. And that's where the 1988 D holds its treasure point. One of the most famous and highly sought-after varieties is the 1988 D reverse of 1989 penny. This happens when a 1989 reverse die was accidentally paired with the 1988 D obverse die. At first glance, it looks like a normal penny, but sharp-eyed collectors know what to look for. The telltale sign is in the design of the reverse, particularly the letter G in the word America. On the reverse of 1989, the shape of the G is distinct, and this subtle difference is what transforms a simple penny into a rare collectible. Imagine the shock of someone who found one of these in their pocket change and later discovered it was worth thousands of dollars. That's right, this little detail has turned the 1988 D reverse of 89 penny into a treasure. Depending on condition, these coins can sell for hundreds to even several $1,000s, especially in higher mint state grades certified by PCGS or NGC. But that's not all. Collectors are also on the hunt for errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, misaligned dies, and double dies from 1988 D pennies. These mint errors can dramatically raise the value, with some error examples bringing in hundreds at auction. The rarer and more dramatic the error, the higher the value climbs. Now let's talk numbers. A standard 1988 D penny in circulated condition is only worth 1 cent. But step up into uncirculated mint state examples, and values can reach $5 to $20 depending on the grade. Take it further to high-end examples graded MS66 or higher, and now we're talking $100 and up. And of course, that legendary 1988 D reverse of 89 penny in gem condition has been known to sell for over $3,000. Think about that for a moment. A penny that you might easily overlook could be worth more than your entire week's paycheck. That's the thrill of coin collecting. You never know when a tiny detail could mean life-changing value. So the next time you're sorting through old jars of pennies or checking your change from the store, pay close attention to those 1988 D cents. Look for the telltale reverse of 89, check for errors, and consider submitting sharp examples to a grading service. Because that single penny in your pocket could end up being the coin that surprises you with a massive payday. Need this time the 1988 D Lincoln penny, a coin that proves small details can mean huge value, sometimes worth more than your salary. Welcome back to Numis Nuke Coins. You know the saying, old is gold. But sometimes even the coins that don't seem that old can be worth far more than gold. Today we're talking about the 1989 D Lincoln penny. Don't spend these pennies. If you have one of the rare varieties, you might be holding a small piece of copper-plated treasure worth more than your entire paycheck. Please watch until the end, because this is one story you don't want to miss. Now, imagine this. You're in your garage, rummaging through an old jar of pennies you've ignored for years. You grab a handful, mostly dull brown cents you figure are worth, well, a cent. But sitting right there could be a 1989 D penny worth not just a few dollars, but thousands. Yes, thousands of dollars for one tiny coin minted in Denver during the late 1980s. At first glance, the 1989 D looks ordinary. Over 5.3 billion were struck at the Denver Mint. That's right, billions. Most people assume this makes them worthless. But here's the secret. Not every penny is created equal. Some carry rare mint errors. Some survive in flawless condition, untouched by time. And it's those rare survivors that can bring life-changing value. So what makes this coin so special? Let's break it down. First, condition is king. In circulated form, your 1989 D penny is just pocket change. But in pristine mint state grades, the story changes dramatically. Coins graded MS67 red by PCGS or NGC can command more than $1,500 at auction. Think about that. Something most people spend without a second thought, selling for more than a brand new laptop. Now, here's where it gets even more exciting. The errors and varieties. Some 1989 D pennies were struck with misaligned dies, double dies, or off-center strikes. Collectors crave these errors, and when they show up, bidding wars erupt. A dramatic double die example has sold for more than $2,000. And rare off-center strikes from this year can bring in several hundred to over $1,000, depending on severity. Picture this. Someone cleaning out their attic finds a shiny red penny from 1989. They take it to a local coin dealer expecting maybe $1 or $2. The dealer examines it, pauses, and leans back in disbelief. "Do you know what you have here?" he asks. That little penny turns out to be a high-grade, error 1989D, and it later sells at auction for over $3,000. What was once a forgotten coin jar just became a financial windfall. And here's the part that gives me chills. Every day, coins like this slip through people's fingers. They get tossed back into circulation, spent at a gas station, or left in drawers collecting dust. Meanwhile, savvy collectors are snatching them up, grading them, and turning them into serious assets. This isn't just about money. It's about owning a piece of American history. The 1989 D penny carries the portrait of Lincoln, a design Americans have carried in their pockets for decades. But when yours has that special rarity, when it stands out from the billions, it becomes more than a coin. It becomes a story you can pass down, a story that connects you to a moment in time. So what should you do next? Check your change. Look closely at every 1989 D penny you come across. Examine the details. Look for doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual features. Check condition. The redder, shinier, and more pristine, the better. Consider grading. A certified high-grade 1989 D can mean the difference between pocket change and a small fortune. Because here's the truth. The window of opportunity is shrinking. Every day, more rare 1989 D pennies are discovered, graded, and locked away into private collections, never to surface again. And once they're gone for good. So will you be the person who spends a fortune disguised as a penny, or the one who discovers it, protects it, and cashes in? The difference is simple: awareness. Knowing what to look for. Remember, wealth doesn't always come from grinding harder or chasing the latest trend. Sometimes it's hiding in the smallest places, in a jar of pennies, in your dresser drawer, or even in your pocket right now. So go check your coins. Because the next $3,000 1989 D penny could already be sitting in your hands. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market. And one coin that continues to shake the numismatic world is the 1992 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like just another ordinary cent you'd find in your pocket change. But in reality, this year hides a treasure that has made collectors go absolutely wild. So stay with me until the very end, because one of these pennies could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Picture this. You're holding a handful of coins, maybe from a jar in your kitchen or spare change from the store. Among those dull copper-plated coins, one 1992 penny might look no different. But if you know what to look for, that simple cent could turn into a life-changing discovery. And the key is in one of the smallest details: the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. Now, let's break it down. In 1992, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The vast majority were common, everyday coins that still turn up in circulation. But somewhere in that year's production, a mistake happened. A proof reverse design, intended only for special collector sets, was accidentally paired with business strike dies. The result was the now legendary close AM penny. Instead of having a wide gap between the A and M in America, the letters are almost touching. To most people, this looks like nothing at all. But to collectors, it's a lightning bolt of excitement. It's the detail that transforms a penny worth face value into one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents. Let's talk numbers. A standard 1992 Philadelphia penny is only worth a cent, maybe 50 cents to $1 in mint state condition. High-grade examples graded MS-67 red can sometimes bring $50 to $100. The Denver coins are similar, common, and inexpensive in circulated grades, with a few dollars value in top mint state condition. But the close AM changes everything. The 1992 Philadelphia close AM penny has sold for over $20,000 in top condition. The 1992 D close AM is even rarer. Only a tiny handful have ever been certified, with auction results hitting $25,000, $30,000, and in some cases pushing toward $40,000 when bidding wars break out. Think about that. One little penny, hiding in circulation, worth more than many people's entire coin collections combined. But the story doesn't end there. Collectors love the close AM not just for its rarity, but for the chase. Every coin roll hunter dreams of finding one. Imagine sitting at your table, opening a box of pennies, and suddenly spotting those nearly touching letters. Your heart would skip a beat, your hands would shake, and you'd know immediately that you had something extraordinary. Even today, over 30 years later, new examples are still being discovered. That's what makes this coin so exciting. You don't have to be a millionaire to own one. You just have to be lucky and vigilant. Some of these coins are still out there in circulation, sitting quietly in drawers, jars, or bank rolls, just waiting to be found. And here's the final word of caution. If you think you've found a 1992 close AM penny, don't spend it and don't try to clean it. Send it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified grade can mean the difference between a coin worth hundreds and a coin worth tens of thousands. Authentication is everything when it comes to coins of this rarity. So remember this. The 1992 Lincoln penny may look ordinary, but a rare variety from this year could change your life. The difference is in the tiniest of details, but the reward is massive. Check your pocket change, search those coin rolls, and keep your eyes open, because that one small penny might just be your hidden fortune. That's the incredible story of the 1992 Lincoln penny, a coin that proves again that treasures are often hiding in plain sight. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market, and this time, our focus is on the 1993 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it may look like just another cent, the kind you've spent thousands of times without a second thought. But here's the truth. Hidden among these ordinary copper-plated zinc pennies are rare varieties and stunning errors that can transform a simple coin into a life-changing discovery. The year was 1993. Bill Clinton had just taken office as the 42nd President of the United States. The economy was shifting, technology was on the rise, and the U.S. Mint in Denver was hard at work, striking billions of Lincoln cents. In fact, the Denver Mint alone produced over 6.4 billion pennies that year. With a mintage that high, most people assume these coins are common, worth just a single cent. But that's where they're wrong. Because a tiny handful of these coins hold secrets that only the sharp-eyed collector will recognize. And those secrets can mean thousands of dollars. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine pulling out a jar of old change from your dresser. You reach in, expecting nothing more than a handful of pennies to trade for coffee. But then, you notice something slightly unusual on one of them. A faint doubling, a misplaced mint mark, or an off-center strike. In that instant, what seemed worthless transforms into a fortune. That's the magic of the 1993 penny point. One of the most incredible examples is the 1993 double die penny. These errors occur when the coin die itself is struck twice at slightly different angles. The result? The letters, numbers, and even Lincoln's profile can appear doubled. Some are dramatic and easily seen with the naked eye, while others require a magnifying glass. But here's the kicker. When these double die pennies hit the auction block, collectors go wild. Prices can soar into the hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars depending on condition. But that's not the only treasure hiding in this year. The off-center strike pennies are another gold mine. Imagine a penny where part of Lincoln's portrait is missing, shifted awkwardly to the side. The further off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. In pristine condition, off-center 1993 pennies have sold for several $100s each. Now, let's talk about condition. Collectors know that grade is everything. A 1993 penny fresh from circulation might only be worth face value. But one graded MS67 red or higher, bright, flawless, and untouched by time, has sold for over $1,200 at auction. Just think about that for a moment. A coin most people would toss into a tip jar suddenly commanding more than $1,000 simply because it's been preserved in perfection. And then there are the true rarities, the oddball minting errors that slip through unnoticed. Pennies struck on the wrong planchet, such as dimes or nickels. Pennies with clipped planchets, where part of the metal is literally missing. Pennies with broad strikes that look stretched and warped. Each one tells a story of a mistake at the Denver Mint, and each one has the power to transform pocket change into a collector's dream. Here's something to consider. Every day, pennies like this change hands at grocery stores, banks, and gas stations. They pass unnoticed, their value hidden in plain sight. But those who know what to look for, the collectors, the treasure hunters, the everyday people with a keen eye, are the ones who reap the rewards. So the next time you're handed a handful of pennies, don't ignore them. Look closely. Study the date. Check the mint mark. Search for those subtle signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual features. Because you might just be holding a 1993 Lincoln penny worth thousands of dollars. And here's the real thrill. The hunt never ends. For every rare 1993 penny discovered, there are countless more still out there, waiting to be found. Could one of them be sitting in your pocket right now? Don't spend it. Don't let it slip away. That little coin could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market. And this time, our spotlight falls on a coin that almost every collector knows, yet only a few truly understand, the 1995 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary, just another copper-plated zinc cent lost in change. But buried within this year's production lies one of the most famous modern varieties, a coin that can turn an everyday penny into a treasure worth thousands of dollars. The year was 1995. The U.S. Mint was still producing the familiar Lincoln Memorial cent, struck in massive numbers. Over 6.4 billion pennies were minted that year, with facilities in Philadelphia and Denver working at full capacity. For most people, a penny was nothing more than spare change, a coin left in jars, car cup holders, or even tossed aside. But in Philadelphia, a small mechanical mishap created what would become one of the most iconic double-die coins of the modern era, the 1995 double-die obverse penny. Now, let's pause here. Imagine pulling a penny from your pocket and realizing the letters on it aren't quite right. Look closely at the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty" on the 1995 double-die penny. Those words show an unmistakable doubling, crisp and bold enough to be seen with the naked eye. No microscope needed, just your eyes and a little attention. This isn't a subtle error. It's striking. And collectors went wild at here's the jaw-dropping part. While regular 1995 pennies are worth just face value, the double-die variety can fetch hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. In circulated grades, you might see values between $50 and $200. But in higher grades, the numbers climb dramatically. A brilliant, uncirculated red 1995 double-die penny can easily bring $1,000 to $2,000. And at top population levels, with perfect preservation, these coins have crossed the auction block for over $4,000. Think about that. A single cent, once used to buy candy, now worth more than a brand new television. And it doesn't stop there. Even regular 1995 pennies with exceptional conditions, those graded MS-67 or higher, carry serious premiums. Because out of billions minted, only a handful survive in pristine state. Collectors pay up to $200 or $300 for top condition examples, and when rare plus condition meet, the results can be astonishing. Now, let's take a moment. Picture yourself at a flea market or sorting through your childhood coin jar. You see a shiny 1995 penny. You look twice. The letters seem doubled. Could it be? In that moment, you're holding history and money at the same time. This is the thrill of coin hunting, the possibility that an ordinary coin in your hands could be worth thousands of dollars. What makes the 1995 double die so special isn't just the money. It's the story. It reminds us that even in modern times, errors slip through. It proves that treasures aren't just in old, rare gold coins or 19th century relics. They can be hiding in plain sight in the most common year, waiting for someone like you to notice. So before you dismiss that penny, stop and take a closer look. Because one 1995 Lincoln cent might just change your life. From a coin worth 1 cent to a coin worth $4,000. Needless to say, this time it's the 1995 Lincoln penny, especially the double die variety, that could make your collection shine and your pocket a lot heavier. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market, and this time the spotlight is on the 1996 Lincoln penny. At first glance, you might think this coin is too modern to hold any real value, but hold on, because some rare examples of this penny have shocked collectors with values soaring into the thousands of dollars. The U.S. Mint struck over 6.5 billion Lincoln pennies in 1996, spread across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. With so many in circulation, most of them are worth just 1 cent. But hidden among these billions are a few special coins, error pennies, high-grade survivors, and condition rarities that can transform a single cent into a small fortune. Imagine digging through your old pocket change and spotting a 1996 penny that looks a little different. Maybe the lettering looks doubled, or the strike is off-center, or perhaps it gleams like it was just minted yesterday. These are the kinds of coins that bring the big bucks. For example, a 1996 penny graded MS-69 red at auction stunned collectors, bringing in more than $4,000. All for a coin most people would pass over without a thought. But that's just the beginning. Some of the most valuable 1996 pennies come from striking errors. Off-center strikes, where Lincoln's portrait is missing part of its detail, can easily climb into the $1,000 to $2,000 range depending on how dramatic the error is. Even pennies struck on the wrong planchet, like a dime or foreign coin blank, have been documented and have sold for $5,000 or more in top condition. Now picture this: you're rolling pennies into a wrapper, and you find one with a clear double die obverse, Lincoln's features and the date showing signs of doubling. That's not just a curiosity, that's a jackpot. A strong double die from 1996 could bring in several $1,000s at auction, depending on its grade and visibility. Even mint sets and proof coins from 1996 can be worth serious money. A flawless proof penny with deep cameo contrast, graded PR70, has been known to reach over $1,500 at major coin auctions. Collectors are willing to pay these huge premiums for perfection, because among millions of coins, flawless examples are incredibly rare. So what does this mean for you? It means that tucked away in your change jar, in your old coin albums, or even in a box of coins from your childhood, you could be sitting on a 1996 penny worth far more than a single cent. The key is knowledge, knowing which errors to look for, which grades matter, and which tiny details transform an ordinary coin into a treasure worth thousands. If you're holding a 1996 penny, don't dismiss it too quickly. Examine it closely, look for errors, and consider the condition. Because the truth is, even coins from the 1990s, coins you might think are too new to matter, can command life-changing values when rarity and demand collide. Need this time the 1996 Lincoln penny? Well, it may not just be worth a cent. It could be worth $4,000, $5,000, even more if you've got the right one. So check your pennies carefully, because your fortune might already be in your hands. Welcome back. Today we explore the most valuable and rare coins in today's market, and this time we're diving into the 1998 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like just another copper-plated zinc cent from the late 1990s, but don't be fooled. Some examples of the 1998 penny have shocked collectors, selling for thousands of dollars. Yes, even a coin less than 3 decades old can carry life-changing value. The U.S. Mint struck over 5 billion 1998 pennies across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. With such a massive mintage, most are worth a single cent. But here's the secret: rare errors, unusual varieties, and flawless high-grade survivors can turn an ordinary 1998 penny into a treasure worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Now, let's talk about the most famous variety, the 1998 wide AM reverse penny. Normally, on business strike pennies from the 1990s, the A and M in America on the reverse are very close together. But a few 1998 pennies were accidentally struck with the proof reverse die, leaving a noticeable wide space between the A and M. This small difference transforms the coin into a major rarity. In top condition, a 1998 wide AM penny has sold for more than $2,500 at auction. But the surprises don't stop there. Mint errors are another way the 1998 penny has reached incredible values. Off-center strikes, where part of Lincoln's face or lettering is missing, can bring $500 to $1,500, depending on how dramatic the error is. Double denominations, pennies struck on dimes or nickels by mistake, have surfaced and can command prices of $5,000 or more in high grade. Condition also plays a massive role. A 1998 penny in ordinary circulated condition is worth 1 cent, but in pristine mint state with blazing red luster, collectors will pay top dollar. For example, a 1998 penny graded MS 69 red has brought in nearly $4,000 at auction. That's the kind of money that changes the way you look at every coin in your pocket. Even the 1998 S-proof penny can be worth serious money. A flawless PR70 Deep Cameo example has sold for over $1,500. All because perfection is nearly impossible to achieve, and when one appears, collectors battle to own it. Now picture this, you're searching through a box of old coins, and you spot that subtle wide AM gap, or you notice an unusual strike. Suddenly, what you thought was a penny worth 1 cent is a rarity worth thousands. That thrill, that possibility, is what keeps collectors searching. So what does this mean for you? It means you should never ignore a 1998 penny. Look closely at the reverse for the wide AM. Check carefully for striking errors or signs of doubling. And if you think you have a pristine example, it may be worth sending in for grading, because the difference between a $1 penny and a $4,000 penny comes down to condition and details. Need this time the 1998 Lincoln penny? Don't underestimate it, because hidden in your pocket change could be a coin worth $2,500, $4,000, or even $5,000 if you've got the right one.